Hello, I'm Tira Tachik.
And I'm Dustin Lyons.
And our business is Elke Hest Leather.
The following is an instructional video on how to tape cast your foot at home. There's a few things that you need to know before you start. Number one, you cannot cast your own foot. You'll have to have a friend or a family member do that for you. And the reason for it is that you need to stand straight with your weight evenly distributed over both feet to get an accurate reading. Number two, 98% of the time, we only cast the larger foot. Some people do have wildly different feet, and if you feel like you're one of those folks, then go ahead and contact us and we can discuss how we're going to proceed.
And number three, remember when you receive your shoes, they are going to be snug. Your foot is what gives it its form, and so it's going to feel like a second skin. Just be patient. We send directions with ways to speed up or expedite the break-in period.
And other than that, we thank you for your support, and any feedback that you might have on this video, we'd love to hear from you.
Definitely.
And happy casting.
Happy castings.
Okay, so step one, creating the footprint for your cast. You're going to want to be on some kind of a cutting surface, like a cutting mat, and it also needs to be a very flat surface. First things first, you're going to take 2 pieces of paper, printing paper. I usually use legal paper for folks that have bigger feet. And go ahead and stand up on these 2 pieces of paper. All right, you want to make sure that the paper is nice and flat, that the foot hasn't warped it at all. And then you're going to take a golfer's pencil or some kind of a short pencil no longer than 3 inches. And you're going to trace all the way around the foot. You want to make sure that you keep the pencil completely straight up and down so that you get a proper tracing of the foot, and just follow the contours all the way around. And go around each individual toe. And come back around. All right, and do that on both feet. Right now we're doing this tracing just to get a good look at the differences between the feet. And the other thing I should mention is you want to make sure that your feet are parallel and your weight is distributed evenly over both feet as you would normally stand. Okay, go ahead and take a seat. Okay, so you have your foot tracings on the printer paper here. And the reason why you took those is so you can look at the difference between the 2 feet. And I want to make it clear that you do need to send both tracings to us along with your casting after you determine which foot you're going to cast. So what you want to do here is take one piece and flip it over. And it's great to do this up against a window or, you know, with some kind of a light source in the background. Helps to see this. And then line it up at the heel first and then kind of work your way up, make sure that everything's lined up. You can see that this particular foot, these particular feet are very similar to one another. You could choose either one to cast and it would be just fine. I do notice that the second toe on the left foot is a little bit longer, so I might just choose the left foot. All right, so moving on to another set of feet here. Okay, so we will line it up at the heel. And then move up, get the rest of the foot lined up. Okay. All right, so we can see here that one of these feet has a deformity right here, which is no big deal. So the foot, let's see, it's the right foot has a couple of longer toes over here, but you can see that the left foot is a little bit taller at the big toe, and that is the tallest point of the foot. So you're still going to want to choose the left on this one. All right. And one more here. Okay, again, line up the heel. and then the rest of the foot. All right, so now we're looking at a left foot that has a longer second toe here, and it's substantially longer than the second toe on the right foot. It's right on the edge of too much. It's about 1/4 of an inch. This still works. We can still just do the left foot at this point. But this is all the reason why we want you to send both tracings so that we can have a look for ourselves. If it's anything more than that, or if you've got a wildly different shape from one foot to the other, one's kind of like a kidney bean and the other one's straighter, then you're going to want to give us a call and we want to discuss that. We may have you cast both feet at that point. All right, so we've determined that the left foot is slightly larger. And so you're going to use a piece of cardstock, and we're going to go ahead and stand back up, place your foot in the center of that cardstock. And again, make sure your feet are parallel and the weight's distributed evenly. Don't lock your knees. And then we do the same thing. Just trace around, follow the contour of the foot. All right, and then once you've got this traced all the way around, this is the only difference, is you want to take a colored pencil of some sort, if you have one, and you're just going to follow the contour of the arch. Some people have shallow arches, some have high arches, and so you're just going to want to be able to kind of give an indication of that on the footprint. All right, go ahead and take a seat. All right, so now we're beautifying the footprint. This is a very important part of the whole process. It's going to give the sole shape to your shoe and is going to have a big part to play in the fit. All right, so what I like to do here, you've got the tracing of the foot. You've got this red line here which indicates how deep the arch or how high the arch is on this particular foot. So I like to start at the big toe. And essentially what you're trying to do here is you want a nice arc, right? A nice footprint. And so when you're looking at the lengths of the toes here, you can see that's kind of a short toe. So you're going to want to connect these two and then bridge over top of that one to the next one. Because obviously if you dunk down here and had to come back up, you'd have a very strange shape there. And then continue around, connecting all of these little divots and indents in the foot. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to the inside of the foot, connecting this here, and now we're looking at the arch area, the instep. You're going to want to just use this as a guideline to kind of suck it in just a little bit. It doesn't have to be too much. It can be up to half of this if it's a really high arch. Or actually, I'm sorry, if it's a really shallow arch, it could be up to half of that. But you just want to make sure that the shape is nice and smooth and sucks in a little bit right there. That'll offer a little bit of support in that part of the shoe. All right, now back out to the outside here. This is quite a big curvature here, so we want to soften that, make it a little less severe. So you're going to just connect those two right there. So we got the outside dealt with. The heel here, this one is a little bit egg-shaped. And so what I like to do here, you want to make this nice and rounded. It'll help with the fit. So just slightly rounding the outside here. And again, over on this side. Okay. So you've got a nice footprint there. That's going to be this particular sole. And now moving on, I've got a couple more examples. These are not on the cardstock. They're just the paper tracings. But just to give you an idea from one foot to the next, how I would approach this. So again, starting with the big toe, we've got a very long, prominent second toe here. So you're just going to connect those. And then you can see these toes really fall off pretty precipitously, and so you got the outside of the foot here. You're just going to want to create a nice arc to connect to the outside here. You don't need to connect, or you don't need to hit the top of these two shorter toes. Okay, and then go ahead and make a nice connective arc there. And then again on the instep, You're just going to want to swoop in, make a nice arc here. So that's about half, like I was saying earlier, taking about half of that and then bringing it down to the heel. And then we'll switch over here to the outside. And we've got another one of those big curvatures here. So you're going to want to connect that up. Okay, that takes care of that. And then also this heel is a little bit egg-shaped here, so I'd probably give it a little bit more of a rounded look here. All right, so there's your footprint. And one last one here. This one also has an even more prominent second toe than the last one. Go ahead and connect that there, and then again, this is a fairly long third toe, but you're not going to necessarily need to connect it to the top because you want to connect out here. Alright, so that gives you a nice arc and a nice footprint. And then smooth out all of these little divots, little indents. We'll come back around to the top, give this some roundedness around the toe here. And then again with the instep. So again, with the instep here, you can see that red line comes all the way up here. You don't start right there. You want to drop down a little bit from where this intersects with the actual tracing. So drop down a little bit from there and then start to suck in a little bit. And come back to where essentially you can see when you're tracing around the instep here, you've got your ankle bone and everything, and so it kind of gives a sort of a fat look to this part of the tracing. You want to drop this back down right after that comes back to the heel. So right at this point. And then make sure that heel's nice and round. And connect this curvature here, soften that. And again, you got your footprint. So that's a nice shape. You're going to want to write the person's name on the footprint here. And then cut that out with a pair of scissors. All right, and that completes step one, creating your footprint.